Everyone. And I hope you're all ready to start our new chapter on biomolecules. Um, there's going to be a lot of information that's going to be presented in this, so let's just go ahead and get into it. What are biomolecules? You might be asking. By the way, kids, I want you to take notes while I'm presenting this. What is a biomolecule? It's an organic compound made by living things, also called a biochemical. Some are very large, some are not. There are thousands of different biomolecules, but are separated into four major categories. And those four categories are carbohydrates, as you can see by the food there. Or that's a lot of food in all of these pictures, but as you can see by the bread and the pasta, lipids, also known as fats, protein, and the last one, nucleic acids. Um, First, let's go over carbs. Carbs are the simplest of the biomolecules, and they contain three different elements: carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. The word carbohydrate comes from the fact that these compounds have many carbon atoms bonded to hydroxide groups. Carbohydrate facts serve two main functions. They're the source of chemical energy for cells and many living things, and part of the structural material of plants. They come in all sizes, from rings to long chains. Uh, Two types of carbohydrates: simple and complex. There's only two: simple and complex. Simple is like sugar. Complex is starch and cellulose. Sugar breaks down quickly in the body, but it provides a quick burst of energy, or a sugar rush, as y'all might know yourselves. After lunch, y'all might feel this. Glucose is the most important and simplest sugar on Earth. It's used in cells and created by photosynthesis, as we all know, is the way plants get energy. The examples of simple sugars, as I noticed or said earlier, it can either be a long chain or a ring. Glucose, fructose, sucrose, all rings, and then you see sucrose connected two rings together. Starch. Starch are long chains of simpler sugars joined together. These big molecules are called macromolecules. Uh, it's also another kind of, people like to switch that out with biomolecules, but macromolecules mean big. Think macro. Also called polysaccharides or polymers. And they're slower to break down in the body and provide energy for a longer period of time than regular sugars. Make sure you're keeping up with these notes. I mean, we're gonna do a worksheet later to review all of this, but make sure to write down as much as you can. We'll skip that real quick. Starch examples: potatoes, wheat, corn, um, things that we all love to eat, I hope. Uh, Cellulose. Unlike animal cells, plant cells have a cell wall made of cellulose, as we've learned about before. The cell wall is a large part of the vegetables, such as lettuce and celery. It is also what gives stems and wood their strength, so they don't break so easily. Made from chains of thousands of glucose molecules, but the difference is how they're linked. Because of this small difference, your body can't digest the cellulose the same way it can with starches and sugars. All right, and let's move on to our next biomolecule: lipids. Facts about lipids. They include fats and oils. Most lipids are made of just carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. But unlike carbohydrates, fats are more complex and take much longer to break down. Um, so fats are high energy molecules that plants and animals use to store energy in reserves for long periods. Um, we always joke about we don't want to get fat, but if we were to be surviving like they were thousands, hundreds of years ago, without the kind of technology and luxuries that we have, it'd be nice to have that extra fat to keep you alive, and whenever you don't have food, so your body can burn something for energy. Uh, More lipid facts: plants store energy in oils, like olive oil, corn oil, peanut oil. And an oil is a fat that is liquid at room temperature. Lipid structures, they're super efficient. 1 gram of fat contains about twice the energy as 1 gram of carbohydrates. That's insane. A fat molecule has a two-part structure. The first is called the glycerol. It's like the backbone, and it's attached to the fatty acid chains, which, as you can see by the picture there, they kind of just branch off of each other, or off of the glycerol. Saturated fats, they're saturated and unsaturated. Saturated fats are only single bonds in the carbon chain. Most animal fats, they're considered the bad fats, what you don't want to have. Diets high in saturated fat are linked to heart disease. Fast food is a perfect example of foods like this. Unsaturated fats, one or more double bonds in the carbon chains. These are considered the good fats, and these are most of the oils from plants. Fat examples. I think we all have a few examples of fatty foods that we enjoy, but as you see, hamburgers, steak, pizza, avocado, it looks like some sort of fish, maybe salmon or tuna. But now I'm just hungry. So, cholesterol. Cholesterol is another lipid in a cell membrane. It is also needed to make hormones like adrenaline. That's a big deal. We need hormones. We need adrenaline. We need to be awake and alert when our body needs it to be. Your body makes the cholesterol that it needs, but is also found in many foods that come from animals, like meat and eggs. Although you need cholesterol, eating too much of it can block your arteries and lead to heart disease. So I don't know if you've ever heard commercials talking about your high cholesterol and trying to keep it low. Something that people y'all's age will not deal with right now usually. But the older you get, it's something that you do need to keep an eye on. Let's keep going. Okay, so let's move on to proteins. Proteins are big molecules called macromolecules, like we talked about earlier, made of smaller molecules called amino acids. These are made of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur, and some other elements. So a lot more variation than our first two examples of carbs and lipids. There are at least 100,000 proteins in your body, over 100,000 at least. Each has a different structure that gives it a specific job. And there's 4 types of structures, including coils and curls. Here's a picture of it. Here's like the structure of the spiral. Kind of like a helix. Wow, yeah, I like that illustration. All right, amino acids. Think of proteins as being like a word. Amino acids are the letters in that word. Rearranging the letters makes words with a different meaning. So, I mean, honestly, that's how you should think about amino acids. It's just like a word. Excuse me, proteins are like the word, but all the letters are the amino acids, and whenever you switch them up, it makes something completely different. That's the exact same thing that's happening here. There are 20 different amino acids required for human life to exist. 12 amino acids are made in our bodies, but the other 8 must be obtained by eating foods that contain them, which I find that fascinating, that we have 20 different amino acids, and they're all required for human life to exist, but only 12 of them are found in the human body. So the fact that we have to consume those other 8, I find that really interesting. Let's talk about enzymes. Some proteins curl up into a shape like a ball of enzymes. An enzyme is a special protein and a catalyst for something to get something kick-started, get it going, for a chemical reaction in living things. Catalysts speed up the rate of a reaction, like I just said. It kick-starts it. Enzymes are needed for many chemical reactions in your body, basically all of them. Without them, these reactions would occur too slowly to keep you alive. I mean, by the time that your body reacted to a problem, it would be too late. So it's very good that we have these enzymes to speed up our body and our reactions, and our chemical reactions. Proteins in the diet. It's important to have a lot of protein in your diet. Proteins such as like meat, soybeans, nuts are broken down into amino acids. Without protein, your body can't function perfectly. Protein is a source of energy. That is why it's important for vegetarians to find protein from non-animal sources, which is a big deal because just because you're a vegetarian or a vegan doesn't mean that you should stray away from protein. There's tofu. There's other. Nuts, eggs. There's other forms of protein out there that will keep you will keep you full of nutrients. It's a really good thing. Vitamins. Most of the chemicals needed for vitamins or for life can by excuse me. Most of the chemicals needed for life can be made. Well, that's a typo. Can be made by your own body, like proteins. However, there are certain chemicals that your body does not automatically make, and we call these vitamins and minerals. Important daily vitamins and minerals include calcium, vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin D, and a whole bunch of B vitamins, like B12, B6. And the only place to get these are food. Body doesn't make them. Gotta eat them. So, here's some examples: vitamin A, B12, C. I'll let y'all look over that, but that's a good reference if you don't understand where you can find these different vitamins. Vitamin C, ascorbic acid or vitamin C, is needed for several important processes in your brain and nervous system. I don't know if you've ever heard of pirates getting scurvy, but scurvy results from a lack of vitamin C. And what would happen to pirates is whenever they were sailing for long periods of times, for months and months, without any change in their diet and no vitamin C, they would get scurvy. It causes spotting on the skin, spongy gums, and bleeding membranes, and can eventually lead to death. The British Royal Navy were among the first to discover vitamin deficiency when they noticed sailors would get sick without fresh fruits and vegetables. So you can't just survive on meat alone on the open sea. You actually need vitamins that vegetables and fruits give you. There's an example of scurvy. Very, very painful looking. I can't imagine how. That just looks painful. There's another one. But James Lind, a surgeon in the Royal Navy, conducted clinical tests that proved the citrus fruits and their juices would cure and prevent scurvy. The disease, which killed a million seamen, that is insane, between 1600 and 1800. In this painting, he is shown aboard the HMS Salisbury in 1747. Lind published his paper, A Treatise on the Scurvy, was published in 1751. He later became chief surgeon of the Royal Naval Hospital and published many more papers on how to safeguard the health of sailors. So, really cool story, especially during that time period of how to cure something like that. And he just to relate vitamin C to scurvy. That's an amazing discovery, honestly. If you really want to think about it, that's how scurvy can affect the limbs. Oh man, that's. I don't even want to look at that. That is just sickening to look at. And lastly, we have nucleic acids. Includes DNA, RNA, and it's also the largest and most complex of the biomolecules. It's made of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. The name for it is deoxyribonucleic acid. It's one of the largest molecules. A single DNA molecule has more than 1 million atoms, if you did not know, because I did not know that. A twisted ladder or a double helix is the structure of it, as you can see by the picture right there. Very recognizable. The sides of the ladder are made of sugar molecules called deoxyribose and a phosphate group. And then the rungs of the ladder are made of nitrogen bases. Alrighty. Well, that is going to be the end of our lecture today. Next, I want you all to get in groups of 3 or 4, behave, and I want you all to we're going to get in 4 groups, and it doesn't matter how many are in each group, but we're going to get into 4 equal groups, and they're going to fill out a picture of a biomolecule. I'll give you a piece of paper with the name of which one you'll get, either carb, lipids, protein, or nucleic acids. After that, we have an assignment that we're going to do for the remainder of class. And then before we leave, we're going to be doing a 3-2-1 before y'all can go home and play some more Fortnite. So thank you all for being so respectful and attentive during my lesson. So let's go ahead and get in those groups.